Sometimes, life has a way of bringing two completely different worlds together in the most unexpected places. And this story, my friends, will take you on a journey of love, sacrifice, and the power of kindness. It all began with a man named Daniel Carter. Daniel was a single father in his late 30s, raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, all on his own. His wife, Emily, had tragically passed away from cancer 3 years earlier, leaving Daniel broken but determined. Since then, his world revolved around two things: working hard as a mechanic to provide for Lily and making sure she grew up surrounded by love. But times weren't easy. Money was tight. The bills seemed endless, and the little house they lived in carried more repairs than Daniel could afford. He had no choice but to rent out the spare room in his house just to make ends meet. That's when she walked into their lives. Her name was Sophie Turner, a 21-year-old college student searching for an affordable place near campus. With her dark brown hair, kind eyes, and gentle smile, she didn't seem out of place. She looked like any other student struggling to balance studies and independence. Daniel welcomed her with his usual warmth, unaware of the enormous secret she carried. Sophie wasn't just a student. She was the only daughter of Richard Turner, a millionaire businessman whose face was often in magazines and TV interviews. But Sophie didn't want to live under the shadow of her father's wealth. She longed to prove she could live a normal life, on her own, without privilege. And so, she chose to hide her identity. At first, things were simple. Sophie paid her rent on time, kept to herself, and studied hard. But slowly, she became part of the Carter household. She would often help Daniel in the kitchen, or sit with little Lily doing homework. Lily adored her instantly, calling her Sophie Sis. For the first time since Emily's death, the house felt whole again. Daniel noticed. The warmth Sophie brought into their lives was undeniable. He found himself smiling more, laughing more. Still, he kept his distance. He was just a struggling single dad, and she was a bright, young student with her whole life ahead of her. But fate had other plans. One rainy evening, Daniel came home exhausted after a double shift. He was late picking up Lily from school, but to his surprise, Sophie had already done it. She was in the kitchen, cooking with Lily, both of them giggling as flour covered their faces. Daniel paused at the doorway, watching them. For a moment, he felt something he hadn't felt in years: peace. Maybe even love. Days turned into weeks, and Sophie's bond with the Carters deepened. She helped Daniel organize bills, encouraged him to apply for better-paying jobs, and was always there for Lily. She never revealed her wealth, fearing it would change everything. But one day, the truth began to unravel. Daniel's car repair shop faced closure after a big client canceled their contract. With bills piling higher, Daniel fell into despair. He tried hiding it, but Sophie noticed. She had overheard him one night, sitting alone in the kitchen, whispering, "I don't know how much longer I can do this." Her heart ached for him. She wanted to help, but how could she reveal the truth? Would he still see her as Sophie, or just as the millionaire's daughter? The breaking point came when Lily fell sick. Daniel rushed her to the hospital, terrified. The doctors said she needed surgery, and though not life-threatening, it was costly. Daniel was crushed. He simply couldn't afford it. He sat in the hospital corridor, head in his hands, tears he had held back for years finally streaming down. And then Sophie stepped forward. "Daniel," she said softly, "let me help." He shook his head. "No, Sophie. You've done enough. I can't take money from a student." But Sophie's eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "I'm not who you think I am. My father is Richard Turner. I'm his daughter. I can pay for Lily's surgery." Daniel froze. His world spun. This girl who had shared his home, who had cooked in his kitchen, who had laughed with his daughter, she wasn't just Sophie. She was a millionaire's daughter. For a moment, pride burned in him. He felt betrayed, small, and unworthy. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice breaking. "Because I didn't want you to treat me differently," she cried. "I didn't want Lily to see me as anything more than Sophie. I just wanted to be me." Daniel turned away, torn between gratitude and anger. But when he looked at Lily lying on the hospital bed, pale and weak, the choice became clear. With Sophie's help, the surgery went smoothly, and Lily recovered beautifully. In the weeks that followed, Daniel struggled to face Sophie. His pride wouldn't let him accept her money, yet his heart couldn't ignore what she had done for Lily. Slowly, he realized that Sophie hadn't used her wealth to impress them. She had used it only when their family truly needed it. One evening, as the sun set behind their little house, Daniel finally sat with her. "You could have lived anywhere," he said quietly. "Why did you choose us?" Sophie smiled through tears. "Because money can buy houses, cars, and luxury, but it can't buy family. With you and Lily, I felt something I never felt at home: love, honesty, warmth. I wanted to belong here." Daniel's heart softened. He reached for her hand, for the first time not as a landlord or a friend, but as someone who finally saw her for who she was, not a millionaire's daughter, but Sophie. From then on, their lives changed. Sophie didn't just become a tenant. She became family. She helped Daniel rebuild his shop, using her knowledge and connections, but never overshadowing him. Together, they created a stable future for Lily, filled with love, laughter, and hope. And one day, as Daniel watched Sophie playing in the yard with Lily, he realized something: life had given him a second chance at love, in the most unexpected way. So, what's the lesson here? Sometimes, the people who enter our lives are not who they seem on the surface. They may carry secrets, burdens, or identities we can't imagine. But what truly matters is the heart, the kindness, the love, the sacrifices they are willing to make. Daniel learned that wealth doesn't define someone's worth. And Sophie discovered that true family isn't built on money, but on love and trust. And maybe, just maybe, life brings the right people to us when we need them most.